Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to SAFRL on a Monday night. It's time for Tier 1. It's time for round 3 of Season 8. Welcome to everybody who's already on the stream, already watching. Of course, we're waiting to get underway with Quali. Or not. Here we go, it's a sprint weekend. Thank you. Nobody reminded me of the sprint weekend. I should have checked the calendar. So there we go, there's your confirmation on the top left. It says sprint race. So this is the formation lap. I was waiting qualifying and I got caught out. At least I'll know for Wednesday night. Of course, the grid order for the sprint race, if you were wondering, that is set by a reverse championship order at the time. So you're going to see some of the fastest drivers coming from the rear of the field. Expect lots of overtakes, and of course the sprint race will then determine the grid for the feature race. At the front, there's 2 RBs in the top 5. Andre P2, Sims P3, Wizards P4. Now what the reverse grid should do is bring the fastest drivers from the rear to the front, but that doesn't always work out when the sprint race is this early on in the season. Sometimes you've got guys that missed the first round, didn't do too well in the second, but they're extremely fast, and they'll be starting near the front of things. So not everyone at the front of the field is by any means a slow driver. Just means they didn't get the first 2 rounds they would have wanted. Now it's time to correct the wrongs. If you haven't had a good round 1, round 2, now's the time. Can pick up points in the sprint race, can pick up points in the feature race. Chance to pick up extra points on the night. Don't be alarmed by the disqualifications. Those are just drivers who didn't get their parking rights. Unfortunately on this game we've got terrible camera angles for the race start, so we're going to go on board with the man in P2. Off we go. It's going to be an Aston Martin versus an RB. It looks like the Aston Martin's got the better start. Not quite. Couldn't get the car into turn 1. And Virus leads the way. Sims P2, Wizards P3, Andre loses another position, now down into P4, just trying to find a spot in this race. Andre continues to drop. Let's have a look at that Aston Martin. For a second he may be ghosting. He's just dropping through the field. At the top of the field, Virus started in pole. He's been able to hold on to that lead. Sims going to make it easy. He's in P2. He's all over the back of Virus in the early stages of the race. Then a little further back we've got Wizards and Don Rabico. Wizards now, he's got a bit of a queue forming behind him. Rabico, Logic, Mango, all of those drivers, extremely quick drivers. Big T, Cheddar, lots of quick names coming from the rear of the field. And if these guys are under pressure now, well, it's only going to get worse. Wizards, you'll see cars on either side of him. Right mirror, there's one car. Left mirror, that's another car. And now they're going to go 3 wide. Surprised everybody got that stopped. Looked like Wizards may have just tapped the barrier. Tapped think it was a little bit harder than a tap, but he appears to have all... Ooh, and just as I say that, I was about to say he appears to have all his appendages. Well, he's missing an end plate on the front wing, and that's going to obviously affect his performance, affect his aerodynamics, and on a circuit like this, where aero is key, to be able to go full throttles through some of these long corners, missing any sort of aerodynamics makes that car quite undrivable. Of course, it is the sprint race, so there will be no pit window. So if he chooses to pit for that damage, he's going to come out at the rear of the field, and he's going to have to rely on his overtaking ability to get himself a decent grid spot for the feature race, or he could just stay out, hold on to track position and hope for the best. But that car's not going to be feeling very good at the moment. Battle for P1 continues, Virus at the lead, then we've got Simpson P2. He's been all over the back of that Red Bull for most of the race so far. Now he's lining up a pass. Is he's going to go around the outside? No, he just tucks in behind the RB once more, but now he may have waited too long, because now he's got an Alpine on his case. They'll go 3 wide, and Simps comes out on top. Logic now P2, doesn't want to be in P2 for too long, he wants to battle straight into turn 1, and Logic, well, did leave the race circuit. I think he's given that position back as a result. So Simps leads the way from Logic. Then we've got Virus in P3. Led the race for the first 2 laps from pole position. Now he's got Don Rabico to deal with. Obviously the Mercedes driver, one of the quick ones. They're all quick. We've seen Don Rabico come through the field many times. And if he continues with this sort of performance, he's not going to have to come through the field, because he's going to start at the top of the field. Remember, this sprint race sort of works as your qualifying session for the evening. Instead of everybody going out and having the racetrack to themselves, you have a little bit of a race to set that grid, and so far Simps is doing everything that he needs to do. He leads the way from Logic. Not a big gap at all though. Virus in P3, so they haven't been able to shake him off. Now he's been overtaken. Very nicely done. A bit of a lockup, but Rabico manages to get it stopped. He's already been overtaken. Sort of keeps on changing. Fastest laps all round. Simps leads the way, or does he? Goes side by side briefly with Logic, who's going to come out on top. I think it's going to be the Alpine. It is going to be the Alpine. Now Logic takes the lead for the 2nd time in the race. For the 1st time officially. Last time he had to give that position back for leaving the race circuit. Now Logic's got some free air for the 1st time in this race. Let's see what he can do with it. Simps still P2. Big T looking to get past in the early stages. Make it an Alpine 1-2. Remember, that'll translate to an Alpine front row. Don Rabico saw him briefly get up into P3, and then he lost that position to Big T almost immediately. Lots of juggling for positions. Remember, it's just lap 4 of 9, it's just a sprint race. There will be no pit stops unless you've got damage to the car. It's the last place you want to see in this race, is the pit garage. If you see it, something's gone horribly wrong. Logic out front, just behind him, Big T, his teammate, makes the pass on the... Never quite sure what to call that car. I'm just going to call it a Salda. I almost called it a kick, but it just doesn't sound right. Logic leads the way from Big T, then the Salda of Simps in the final podium position. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now between the 2 Alpines. Clearly got the pace. Will this be a fight to the end, or will they switch positions or just drive behind each other? Is there team orders? Surely not very early on in the season. to look at some of those position changes for you. Logic, he's made up 7 positions. Big T's made up 9. Rabico 2. Mango 4. Cheddar 5. Spikes also on 4. And Pantry Star also on 5. So some drivers making up a lot of room, a lot of ground rather. Andre, on the other hand, he's lost 12 positions. Fortunately for him, this is not the end of the night. The feature race is still to come. As you can see, everybody went, with the exception of Mr. Rem and Andre, everybody went with the medium. Side by side, Salva versus Mercedes, Ferrari power versus Mercedes power. And the Mercedes gets out front, and Rabico now into P3. Remember, he got into P3 ever so briefly. He was then passed almost immediately by the now leader. Big T has got past his teammate at the front. It's Alpine in P1, Alpine in P2. Wouldn't they love that in real life? Don Rabico chasing them down. Surely that Mercedes power can catch the underpower Renaults. Of course, all cars and all performance are set to equal. Otherwise it would be pretty difficult getting drivers into those Alpines, those Williams and those Haas cars. Helicopter shots of Don Rabico just behind the 2 Alpines. This race is not over yet. Lap 6 of 9, 3 laps to go. And we have a DRS train all the way down from the lead to P8. That is how close your field is. And there's a bit of a gap down to Brands in P9. It's followed closely by Spikes, Divan. The only driver with a penalty this evening so far. Just want to get confirmation on that penalty. It's a 3-second penalty. That'll be for cutting the track or going over the lines one too many times. And you almost did again there. Pantry Star P12, Mr. Rem 13, Andre 14. Not a great start to the evening for the Aston Martins. Stoffel 15. Divan's picked up another 3-second penalty, so that'll take him up to 6. Something for the drivers to remember if they haven't experienced it yet this season. Remember, on F124, the speeding in the pit lane penalty is much harsher. It used to be 5 seconds, it was 5 seconds for a very long time. But on this game, it'll slap you with a 10-second penalty. Doesn't get any closer than this between the 2 teammates, Big T and Logic. Last thing they want to do is take each other out. Their first goal has to be to finish with 1 and 2. Dominate that front row for the start of the race. Don Rabico trying to break up the Alpine party. Just having a hard time. There we go. Now almost looked like they were going to go 3 wide into turn 1, surely not, but the 2 Alpines do switch positions. Rabico not able to make the most of that. Stays in P3. Sometimes what can happen is, while these 2 jostle for positions, they just trip over each other. Driver in P3 could come from nowhere, but he's actually just dropped a little bit. Now he's got Sims all over the back of him, but Sims has gone off the circuit and picked up a 3-second time penalty. So the penalties are starting to pop up more and more on your screen. Slyvan with 6, Spikes with 3. Now Sims as well with 3. See the flashing yellow on the top of your screen. Oh, that's the F124 edition no one asked for. The caution and the safety car. Now uncontrollably flash. Back at the front of the race, it's still Alpine from Alpine, Logic, Big T. They have switched positions once or twice, but they've held the first two positions for an awfully long time now. Don Rabico still looking to get amongst those Alpines, but he just can't manage to get himself out of P3. What happens is those two teammates could be working together as well, just making it as wide as possible. Now Rabico does get past the one Alpine, the Alpine of Big T. So now he's in an Alpine sandwich. He's want to get after Logic. But while he's trying to get after Logic, he needs to make sure that Big T doesn't get past him again like he did earlier on in the race. A little further down, Mango, another very quick driver. He's in P4, looking to make up more positions, looking to get himself up onto the front row, and it's still very possible because the action out front. We've had a spin. Luckily it's on the last lap of the race, so no safety car, but we've had a big spin. It's back underway. That was Simps. At the front, Logic, 7/10 of a second. Don Rabico P2, still under pressure from the second Alpine. Will Alpine be able to take this? I think they have. He's got the inside line, he's got the DRS. Of course, so does Rabico. Just that extra slipstream, just the inside line that was able to help Big T now into P2. He's just going to collect the slipstream from his teammate, and surely, there we go, Alpine 1-2, Rabico over the line in P4. Mango, good performance from the rear of the field, finishes in P4. Then we've got Cheddar P5, Ferrari P6, Spikes P7. Rather, those cars have swapped. Let's wait for the official results. Virus P7 and looks like Pantry Star P8, Spikes P9, and Andre makes up the top 10. If you've just joined us and you're wondering what's going on because you can see all the checkered flags, well, it's a sprint evening. So, sprint race has just been completed. As you see the race results, that will be your grid order. 3 DNFs and 1 DSQ. Driver of the day for the sprint race, Big T. And it's time. It's time for the main race. Obviously those Alpines had a fantastic sprint race because that means they're going to start from, well, seems like we have an issue. Seems like we have an issue with the lobby, folks. I'm just going to mute for a minute or two so I can see what's going on, but you can stay with the channel. We'll stay with this stream until we can get going again. Welcome back. Seems like we had a lobby issue or a lobby crash of some sort, but luckily for us that was right at the end of the sprint race, so we will, I believe, get straight into the feature race. Just want to get everybody back into the lobby. There was a total of 17 drivers. Then we should be underway. Quite a few viewers here this evening. A few have come in, left and come back again. Remember, if you enjoyed that sprint race, if you're looking forward to the feature race, make sure to leave a like on the video. Let me know you enjoy the content. And if it's your first time here, remember to subscribe. If it's not your first time here and you haven't subscribed, shame on you. I think it was 17 drivers. We're up to 15, so we should be underway shortly. And obviously the host of this lobby will have to just set up that grid order according to what we had in the sprint race. That sprint race was just 9 laps. Feature race, a little bit more challenging than that. 25 laps ahead of these guys. High speed race circuit. Longest street track rather on the calendar. Longest track on the calendar. That's Belgium at just over 7 kilometers. Also a second Saudi Arabian circuit currently under construction, and this Grand Prix will probably move to that circuit in 2028. But if the Saudi government have it their way, they'll both be on the calendar. I think we're just waiting for one more driver. Let me know in the comment section, who do you think will take this race? Is it going to be one of those two Alpines? We saw they had so much pace in the sprint race, but the feature race is more challenging than that. Sprint race is choose the tyre you think you're going to be fastest on, the tyre that's going to last to the end of the race, and hopefully you get no damage and you go straight to the end of the race. Feature race, a little bit more complicated. There's going to be a pit window. You need to decide what tyre to start on, how long into the race you intend to take it, your fuel loads. There's a lot more at play. just await that restart. Things were getting pretty exciting there at the end of the sprint race. Now I just got to get myself back into the mood for the start of the feature race. I think we've had a Williams join, so we're up to 18 drivers. That Williams Tiago Maestro. He would have missed the initial start. It's a second go at it. I'm actually trying to see now who's missing a teammate. We have 18 drivers. Appears we only have one Haas and one Red Bull. That means Brands and Pantry Star are missing a teammate. Everybody else in the field will have a teammate. It's going to be a very busy racetrack, especially in those early stages. Lap 1, lap 2, 18 cars around. A tight street circuit. See, when I say tight street circuit, Monaco's a tight street circuit. This one not so much. There is a lot more space, but with the speed that you're driving around on this track, mistakes are never far away. And if you decide to come off at the wrong part of the race circuit, I assure you there will be no second chances. In fact, Monte Carlo is so narrow that actually the FIA has to break its own rules to keep it on the calendar. It's not long enough to be a Grade 1 circuit, and it's not wide enough to be a Grade 1 circuit. You can see the drivers readying up there on the right hand side, and we're going to be underway shortly. It's going to be a busy lap 1. Hopefully for the drivers and not for the safety car. We've had too many lap 1 safety cars on this channel in recent times. And there we go, finally we're about to get underway, and hopefully it's the last lobby for this evening. I think it was last week Wednesday we had quite a spectacular lobby crash. Evening Etienne, welcome to the stream. You've got here just in time. We've just finished the sprint race, and at the end of the sprint race the lobby crashed. So we've started a new one for the feature race. Now, one thing that will do is if you had a setup that you didn't like and you were locked into Parc Fermé, you now have the opportunity to change a few things. Evening as well to Death Queen. Always great to see you here on most of the streams every week. And now we look down the abandoned pit lane because all the cars are to the left, lined up, ready to go. Drivers will be looking through their final options. Top dog, the sprint race was between the two Alpines. I think it was Logic from Big T, if I'm not mistaken. I've already forgotten. I'm a terrible commentator. But it was an Alpine 1-2. That means we're going to have an all Alpine front row, Logic versus Big T. into turn 1. Rabico will get going from P3. There we go. Start of the formation lap. Thought that was too good to be true. We had a good camera angle for the start of the race. No, that's the formation lap. Wait until we get to the start of the race, you'll see it will give us a terrible camera angle. So if you're wondering about those sprint results, Logic did take the victory in the sprint race. Big T finished P2, and he was followed by Rabico on the podium, then Mango, Cheddar, It's Free, Virus, Pantry Star, Spikes, Andre, Mr. Rem, Brands. Stoffel has been DSQ'd, then Simps, Divan, Winzards, and then the 2 Williams. That is a very, very busy field. Don't be alarmed by the DSQ. Stoffel is still very much in this race. That just means he made a mistake somewhere on the formation lap. Maybe made contact with another driver. Maybe made contact with a wall. He won't have damage. What it does is it throws him back into his grid slot. And he's going to have to sit there and wait for all of these cars to come around an awfully long race circuit. His tyres are going to be ice cold. His brakes will be ice cold. And everybody else, well, that's exactly what they're trying to prevent. See all these cars weaving around, just getting temperature into the tires, making sure they're going to have some sort of grip into turn 1. Such a busy field, 18 drivers. So easy for something to go wrong, especially if you're right in the middle of that pack. Pantry Star, Spikes, Andre, Mr. Rem, those drivers right in the middle of this busy pack. You're worried about not running into the cars ahead of you, worried about the guys behind you not running into you, and at the same time you're trying to make a few overtakes on the side. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Terrible, terrible camera angle. We get to see the rear of the final row of the grid. What we'll do is we'll go on board with the Ferrari. That should give us a bit of a better view of the start of the race. Just waiting for everybody to finish lining up. And the 5 red lights, and off they go. We'll start from the Ferrari. Just see, do we have a better camera angle? There we go. Alpine versus Alpine into turn 1. You don't want to run into each other, and we've already got a Mercedes going off the circuit. Luckily no damage, it appears, to the Mercedes, but we saw him ghost for a second, ran wide. Now he's in another battle with a Ferrari. Mango looking to make up positions in the early part of the race. We saw him come through the field in the sprint race, but now gets the opportunity to start much higher up the field and have a go at those 2 Alpines. But first needs to deal with Don Rabico. Don Rabico's picked up a 10-second penalty for gaining a position. That is a odd penalty. We haven't seen that, at least on this channel. Don Rabico in the very early stages of the race with a 10-second penalty next to his name. We've got a caution, that's for Virus. He's at the rear of the field. He was facing the wrong way. Luckily gets those wheels rotating again so we don't get a safety car. Alpine, how many times have we seen it this evening already, side by side? This time Big T goes into the lead of the race. Logic P2, it's Alpine from Mercedes. Rabico P4, make it Rabico P3, Cheddar P4. Then Mango has actually gone down 1 position. DRS is enabled. We actually got that message at the start of the race as well. It's quite strange. DRS on a circuit like this so important. Very, very big difference whether you're in a DRS train or if you're not. You want to stay in that DRS train for as long as you possibly can. The moment you fall out of it, you're going to start to see gaps form in this race. Of course, we had a race last night on this channel. There were absolutely no safety cars and absolutely no retirements. And by the end of the race, there were some pretty formidable gaps in the timing sheets. But so far, none of that. Everybody's still very close together. We've got a DRS train down from the lead down to P6. Simpsy was very quick in the sprint race, just had a spin towards the end of proceedings. That put him down in P7 where he is now. Bantry Star, also one of the quicker drivers in this field, finding himself a little bit lower down the order than he'd like in P8. Mr. M P9 and Andre in that final points position. Didn't have the sprint race he would have wanted, but already having a much better feature race. The Alpines still lead the way, 1-2, still very close together. They can't decide who wants to lead this race, matching each other lap by lap. Then we've got Cheddar and Rabico in P3 and 4. This is Mango. He was up into P4 and looked like he was going to threaten for the podium positions, but now he's actually dropped a position. He finds himself behind the two Mercedes and behind the two Alpines. Unfortunately for him, his teammate can't help him much. Spikes down in P17. And now Simps picks up a penalty. And this is very, very early stages in the race for penalties. Of course, Simps picks up the 3-second penalty. That is just track limits. But Don Rabico, one of the contenders in this race, currently in P4, he's got a serious penalty next to his name, 10 seconds. Of course, we're still going to get to the pit window. He'll serve that 10 seconds in the pits. Cheddar comes up into the top, well, into the top two. Couldn't actually see what happened there. I've had somebody going backwards. Who was that? That's Don Rabico, one of the two Mercedes. The Mercedes were running so close together. Cheddar managed to make up a position on the Alpines, and the other Mercedes went in the other direction. So now Rabico from P4 finds himself in P14. Just like that, you lose 10 positions. That's what happens when the field is so close at the start of the race. And now Rabico is going to have to have quite the recovery drive. Remember, he's in P14 with a 10-second penalty. But at the front, Logic leads. He's not able to just switch positions and have fun with his teammate anymore, because Cheddar has inserted himself in that battle. Mango, we said he lost a position down into P5, he's back up into P4 as a result of the Don Rabico incident. We have a caution flashing on our screens, but hopefully that's all it is. I think that is for, that's what that is for. That's for Loki, and I think he took a little bit too long to get going again. He has got going again, but that has triggered a virtual safety car. I'm sure for some of the drivers at the rear of the field, they would have much preferred a full safety car. Of course, Loki 20 seconds adrift from the rear of the field. He's not going to be able to just catch up to the queue because it's a virtual safety car. He's going to have to drive within a delta, and even if he could catch that queue, it wouldn't be of much help to him because he has no front wing, and this track is not very drivable without all of your car parts being where they should be. So Loki's going to come into the pits. He was already very far behind, and now he's going to spend some more time in the pits, probably lose another 25 seconds. Won't be as much as that because these guys aren't driving around at top speed. Drive-through penalty for Big T. Well, you've seen that many times before. Just as the virtual safety car ends, penalties pop up here and there. And now we've got a caution flashing again. Here we go, it's gone. Alpine from Alpine, Logic from Big T, Mango now up into P3. Loki has retired from the session, he's had enough. We're under another virtual safety car. Big T comes into the pits. Let's just bring up some data on your screens and have a better idea of what these guys are up to. Of course, we had a virtual safety car, we got going again. This is a second virtual safety car. Some drivers choosing to come into the pits, put on another set of tyres, maybe thinking of going to the end of the race on a set of hards. Other drivers staying out, holding on to track position. So different drivers having very different ideas. And the choice you make now could be, well, I called a virtual safety car. I apologize to everyone watching. I called a virtual safety car, but honestly, I don't know. As you can see on your screen, it says virtual safety car. And as you can also see on your screen, that is an Aston Martin safety car. So the game can't figure out if it's a virtual safety car or a safety car, but it appears to be a full course safety car. There are more than, I think there's more than 80 races uploaded on this channel, and I can confidently say that is the first time I've ever seen the virtual safety car notification for a safety car. We also had a DRS enabled notification while the cars were still sitting on the grid. Wonder if that has anything to do with the patch that was released earlier today. Because I'm not absolutely new to this game. We've streamed it for the past week or two and we haven't seen that before. Next thing we'll see is rain in the desert. Let me know in the comment section, have any of you ever seen that before? I called a virtual safety car because that's what it said, but when I looked and saw a safety car on the track, well, see something new every day. Of course, the benefit of being in SAFRL Tier 2 is that SAFRL Tier 2 follows this same calendar. So if you're not quite sure what to do with your Wednesday night strategy wise, a lot of the guys do tune in or do watch this stream after the live race. Just gives you a few ideas. What did the guys do? What was the winning strategy? Yeah, top dog just game is broken. Virtual safety car following the Aston Martin, or maybe it is a virtual safety car and the Aston Martin's not there. Who knows? Of course, last week Wednesday we had quite the lobby crash. That was at the end of quali. Then we had a lobby crash tonight, at the end of the sprint race luckily. did not affect the results. And now we've had a few odd calls from the notifications on this game. Safety car now begins to flash. That's usually a sign that we're going to get a safety car in this lap. But now it shows full safety car. It's about time. And finally got it right just in time for the safety car to actually come in. So logic, he's going to lead at the restart. He decides when to go. Mango's going to be in P2 as a result of the drivers that came into the pits. So we have a very different top three now than we had before that safety car. Safety car definitely spiced things up. Logic leads the way. Mango now P2. It's Faree. First time that RB has seen the top three this evening. Mr. M P4, wins its P5, Divan P6. Got Spikes in 7, Cheddar P8. He was in that leading group not so long ago, but since then things have not really gone his way. He's picked up a 10-second penalty. Of course, his teammate also had a 10-second penalty not so long ago, but he served that in the pits. Things not going well now for both of those Mercedes. Both of them have been on the bad side of the stewards. But when you take into account that these stewards share a brain with Jeff, then can't take them too seriously. Divan just grays out, and that means he's DNF'd from this race. There he is on the side of the track. Well, look at that. Haven't seen that before. The stationary car sparking away in the barrier. We're under the second safety car of the evening. This time it does say safety car. Problem for the drivers that are choosing to pit now is that safety car would have compressed the field together. They hardly got going. Now coming into the pits means you could find yourself right at the rear of the field, and I think that's what it is going to mean. This will be a difficult situation for some of these drivers. They will have been thinking, should I have come into the pits? Should I have held on to track position? Now it's too late. It's Faree decided to hold on to track position. He's still got the tyres he started on. Same is the story for Spikes. Everybody else has chosen to come in and make a pit stop, either under the first safety car or the second safety car. Of course, we barely got going, barely had half a lap, and we're back under safety car conditions. So lap 9 of 29, sprint race was only 9 laps. We had 3 DNFs. We're now 9 laps into the feature race and we've had 3 DNFs. Hopefully the retirements do slow down, as do the safety cars. At least we're in the desert and the drivers don't have to worry about the rain. But on some of the things I've seen on this game, we could always get raindrops in the desert. Glad to see so many of you watching. Sometimes when the race goes into multiple safety cars we start to lose viewers, but everybody has stayed with the broadcast. Had a really close sprint race. The Alpines switching positions throughout, dominating the race. Rabico in P3. And then going into the feature race, it's been a messy one. We've had a virtual safety car, we've had 2 full safety cars. This is the second of those safety cars. When we do eventually get underway again, SAFRL is going to be the leader of the race, but I don't think he's really going to have the tools to hold on to that lead. He's going to be on aging mediums, and everyone behind him is going to be on a fresher set of tires. Not necessarily a softer compound, so I think at the start he should still have a little bit of an advantage. Should be able to get temperature into those mediums before his opponents can get temperature into those hards, but when they do get temperature into those hards, I don't think there's anything SAFRL is going to be able to do. You can see there's no soft runners, so I think everybody, with the exception of SAFRL and Spikes, is going to be looking to finish this race on the tires they currently have. Of course, if you're on a set of mediums, 15 laps on the medium, let me know in the comment section. Is that sufficient? Is that comfortable? Will the tires be feeling a little dodgy at the end? Surely all the hard runners should be able to finish the race quite comfortably. Confirmation of the safety car coming in this lap, so that means we're going to get back underway. SAFRL is going to be in charge of the second restart of this race. Spikes will be just behind him. Remember, those two drivers have not made a pit stop, and they're the only two drivers in the field not to have made a pit stop. Now just await SAFRL. He decides when to go. When that safety car enters the pit lane, he takes control of the race. Competitors can only go when he decides to go. Welcome to Billy, also in the comment section, thanks for that. Yeah, definitely, I think if you are on a set of mediums, there is going to be a little bit of tyre management, so that those tyres don't fall off a cliff at the end of the race. SAFRL leads the way, Spikes P2, Ravico P3. We've had another DNF, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say at this point. I'm just going to do that, because, well, that's my face. I am sharing a facial expression with Sergio Perez. We are under the third safety car of this evening. It's getting quite entertaining, really. If you enjoy watching Formula 1 cars driving around at a controlled speed. Of course, we had a early virtual safety car, and then after that we've had 1, 2 and now 3 full safety cars. It's making it difficult for the drivers. Every time you think you've got your strategy locked in, you've got to change it. Now those two drivers I said had not made a pit stop, they're going to make their pit stops now. That's SAFRL and Spikes, but unfortunately for them, this field is so close together from the previous pit stop, rather the previous safety car. They're going to come down far down the order. At the front, Ravico now leads the race. A little earlier on he would have been worried about his race prospects. Got a 10-second penalty early on in the race for making up a position off the track. Interesting penalty, one we haven't seen before in the comms box. He was able to serve that 10-second penalty under the first safety car. Now he finds himself in the lead of the race. Tiago Maestro just behind him in the Williams, then Andre. Andre didn't have a great sprint race, went backwards, lost many positions, but earlier on I said he was in P10, he had got himself into the points, was having a better feature race already. Well, now you'll be wondering how he got up into P3. He's in a strong position, but he's got a lot of quick and hungry drivers behind him, and some of those drivers will also be a little annoyed. If you're a slow driver like me, you love a race like this, because anything can happen. If you're a quick driver, this can get quite annoying. You know you've got the pace to win the race, you've got the strategy to win the race. But every 3 or 4 laps, everything changes. Looking at the Ferrari, you can just see the update to the livery. Now the Scuderia HP Ferrari, really don't like that name. It should just be Scuderia Ferrari, but Scuderia HP Ferrari. The interesting F1 team names. Visa Cash App, RB, or the Kick Steak Salva. F1 sponsorships now coming in and starting to affect the names pretty badly. At least McLaren is still McLaren and Williams is still Williams. Now we actually had what appeared to be a little bit of contact there. Got to be careful under the safety car. Under the formation lap, you get away with contact. We saw it at the start of the race in that formation lap. If you make contact with another driver or you make contact with the wall, you simply get sent to your grid spot. But if you make a mistake under safety car, you're going to have to live with it. Lose an end plate or make a mistake, you're going to have to visit the pits and come out at the rear of the field. You can see how close this field is on lap 13 because nobody's been able to get going. Nobody's been able to get into any sort of a rhythm. Safety cars come out. I think we had the first safety car. We got going again. It was about half a lap and we got another safety car. And then I think we got going for a lap or 2 and we got the third. So it's been very difficult for the quick drivers at the front of the field really to just find their momentum. Safety car comes out, you're driving around at a slow speed, you might start to get distracted, think about other things. If that's the case, get everything out of your mind. It's time for a restart. Rabico is going to be in charge of that restart. Maestro will be just behind him, then Mango also P3, Pantustar wins it. All of those drivers will be looking to make up positions, and we've got another 10-second penalty. We saw that at the previous safety car. And this time it's a penalty for Big T, I believe. Or was it Mr. M? Let's just get confirmation on that. Well, it was both of them. So drive-through penalties for Big T and Mr. M. Both of those cars already at the rear of the field, so those penalties aren't going to help them at all. Don Rabico holds the lead into turn 1. Did come under some slight pressure. Maestro couldn't get the car stopped efficiently into turn 1. That it means Mango takes P2 away from him. Pantustar up into P4. Don't flash. Something's flashing on my screen. And I hope it just goes away. So do the drivers. Pantustar in P4. Thiago Maestro now in P3. Got Mango challenging for the lead. Goes up the inside. Is he going to be able to take it, or will the Mercedes hold out? Very nicely done. Mango into the lead of the race. Rabico now in P2, but he's going to come back at that Ferrari. You can bet that much. Thiago Maestro in P3, then Cheddar P4. Also having a good recovery drive. Remember, both of these Mercedes at a stage in the race had 10-second penalties. So those safety cars have worked for them at least, brought them back into this race. The two drivers that dominated the sprint race and dominated the start of this race, they find themselves in P7 and 8. That's the two Alpines, and as I say that, Logic makes up a position, puts that Alpine up into P6. His teammate will also be hoping to follow him up the road. It's Ferrari versus Mercedes into turn 1. Mango's going to hold on to that position for now. This is Rabico. See, he's actually left Cheddar behind. See, that was Thiago in P3, so that gap formed and then Cheddar got past. Don't know why we're seeing flashes on our screen. That is courtesy of F124. It's Ferrari from Mercedes, from another Mercedes. Second Mercedes, 1.5 seconds adrift. He'll be looking to catch that DRS train ahead of him. Logic continuing to make up positions. He's now already up into P4. We've seen the pace of that Alpine and driver combination in the sprint race. He's able to replicate that pace. Then Mango and Rabico better get on with it at the front. Otherwise those Alpines are going to show up in their mirrors very, very soon. It's lap 15 of 25. It's been a busy race. We had a virtual safety car at the start, followed by 3 full course safety cars. And now we've got a field that looks very different from what it did 30 minutes ago. Mango sets the fastest lap of the race. And now we're finally starting to get some racing laps. Of course, the first laps wouldn't have been as quick, tyres would have been cold, and then every other lap was behind the safety car. So now we're starting to get some... Well, I'm not quite sure what happened there, and I saw it on stream. So Cheddar, no, not Cheddar, Don Rabico retires from this race, Windsors retires from this race. All sort of havoc playing out around the circuit. We go to the midfield, it's Ferrari. He was the car that started from the lead of a safety car restart not so long ago. He's now down in P6, trying to hold on to P6, might fall down to P7. He's got his senior team all over his mirrors. Red Bull chasing an RB. That should never be something a commentator says. Mango leads the way, Cheddar P2, that gap now 2.5 seconds. So Mango building up a nice lead. Logic in P3 coming now to the back of the Mercedes. Billy asking if that was a glitch. All I can say is I think that was a glitch. I haven't quite seen that before. We've seen some weird things in the lobby this evening. There was a patch earlier on this afternoon, and I don't want to say it was the patch, but it seems like the patch may have messed a thing or two up. Had some very strange things happen. We've had a safety car that was labelled a virtual safety car. We've had DRS enabled from the race start. We had a stationary car in the wall sparking away. So not the ideal lobby this evening for some of these drivers. And we saw Rabico in what appeared to be crashing into nothing. Of course, we also had an incident last night where a driver hit what's called an invisible bump on the outside curb, and that took him not necessarily out of the race, but made his race a lot more difficult. Now fastest second sector of the race so far. Mango's definitely on the move. He knows he needs to make that gap as high as he possibly can before Logic can find some clean air. But as I say that, he has found clean air. Logic's in P2. The gap is 3 seconds. He's going to try and work away at that gap. get the Ferrari back into his reach. Mango now takes the fastest lap of the race, 29.5. Just throwing out these purple laps left, right and center, one after the other. So he's definitely not losing any speed, he's getting quicker. Gap has fallen briefly to 2.8 seconds, so Logic just finds 2/10 on Mango. But he's going to have a very difficult job if he's going to find 3 seconds. Of course, once he gets within the 1 second mark, things get a lot more easier. He's going to have DRS on his side, but at the moment, he doesn't have any of that. He's got Cheddar still hanging on to his DRS. Brands in P4, Tiago Maestro in P5, then it's Ferrari, P6. Big T in the second Alpine. He had such a good sprint race. He had such a good start to this race. Is he missing an end plate? Let's try and get a proper view of that car. I think he is. There we go, confirmation, the second Alpine. That'll explain why he's not at the front of the field with his teammate. Very difficult to drive a car around this circuit. Any circuit, but in particular a high speed circuit like this. Any sort of downforce missing from your car is going to make your car much more difficult to drive. Now Mango leads the way. Cheddar and Logic, they are fighting for position, fighting for P2. And Mango, he'll be hoping that they continue to fight. 3 second time penalty for Brands. Penalties adding up in the late stages. We've just had so many retirements in this race. I believe 7 retirements so far. 11 runners remain. Everyone now wants to just finish this race. Points very much on the table. You were on one of the drivers who wasn't expecting a top 10 finish. Well, if you've been able to stay out of trouble this evening, top 10 finish is definitely on the cards. Cheddar and Logic continue to fight for position. And what that means is that the gap at the front's gone from 2.8 to 3.3. So Mango's been able to clear another half a second while these two jostle for position. Logic, Cheddar. Who's going to finish in P2? And once they've decided who should be in P2, will anybody be able to catch Mango up the road? Mango, your leader, remember, is on the medium compound. Cheddar is on the hard compound. So if he hasn't managed those tires, he's going to have a difficult last 2 or 3 laps. They trade positions again. Now Logic up into P2. He's got to shake off that Mercedes if he has any chance of getting up the road to Mango. Or he's got to bring him with him. But we can't be fighting for P2 anymore if we have any hope of catching that car up the road. Brands P4, Big T P5. He's having a fantastic race for a car that's missing an end plate. This would be a great result. Bring the car home in P5. Somehow he's still making overtakes with a broken wing. He's making moves and doing lap times that I couldn't even do with a car that had all of its parts. Brilliant helicopter view of this circuit. Don't know how much longer it's going to be on the calendar. Like I mentioned earlier, second Saudi circuit currently under construction. And that track will have the highest elevation change from start finish line to turn 1. Many times higher than anything on the calendar so far. Was that a car falling down the field? I thought I saw someone falling down the field. But at the front, Mango leads the way. That gap 3.1 seconds, so gap seems stable. Logic P2 hasn't been able to shake off Cheddar just yet. course, on some circuits on the calendar, you've just got the one DRS zone, maybe the two, but the DRS zones on this circuit are so powerful. If you can't shake that driver off, he's just going to keep on coming back at you. Get that gap close to a second, then you enter a DRS train and, well, he finds another 5/10. Every time you look in your mirrors, he's found some more ground. While Mango at the front is able to just drive happily into the distance, doesn't have to worry about anyone side by side, anyone in the mirrors. Further back in the race, Big T leads the way from Tiago. Don't even know how he managed to get that car up into P5 with the damage that he has. It's a really, really impressive drive. Ferrari in P7, Pantry Star P8. Andre, we saw him as high as P3 at a stage. He's in P9, comfortably in the points. Stoffel also in the points, P10. The only driver looking at a 0 points in the column for tonight, that would be Mr. M. But definitely worth staying in the race. Any sort of mistake up front, and we've seen a lot of them so far, and he'd be back up into the top 10 and collect a vital point for this championship. You may not think 1 point counts, but we've seen some close championships in the past, and if you know you missed out on 3 or 4 points and that costs you the championship, you're not going to be a very happy fellow. Gap at the front continues to grow, not by an awful amount, but it is still growing. It's still going the wrong direction if you're Logic or Cheddar. It's 3.6 seconds. So the battle we watch is for P2. Mango's all on his own. Cheddar getting very close to the back of the Alpine. Further back, Brands got a comfortable lead on Big T, so I think he can hold on to that P4. Big T can hold on to P5, but it's going to be a handful. Said it a few moments ago, don't even know how he got up into P5 with that car, but he's holding on to it. Don't know how much longer. It's Ferrari, uses his healthy front wing and makes the overtake. Wasn't too much Big T could have done. He's driving around with very damaged equipment. Gap now gets to 4 seconds for the first time in this race. Cheddar in P2, Logic in P3. Of course, we've had retirements from Winzards, Don Rabico, Spikes, Virus, Divan, Simps, and Loki. Lots of drivers retiring from this Tier 1 race. Started with 18 drivers, we're down to 11. Meaning everyone but one driver will go home with points this evening. Mango, Cheddar, Logic, those are still your top 3. Position 2 and 3 may still switch before the end of the race, but Brands looks like he's in a comfortable P4. Somehow Big T has also retaken 5th spot, so he's actually come back at the RB coming back at him now, and we're getting some brilliant battling in the middle of the field. We've got fights for P6 at the front, we've got a fight for P2. Cheddar leads the way from Logic. Absolutely nothing in it between those two. Mango's disappeared up the road, 4.3 seconds. Taking a good 3 or 4 tenths out of these two per lap at the moment. And that's just because they're in a fight. While Mango's in clean air, able to manage his race without worrying about his mirrors or his side pods. All he needs to do is keep the car pointing in the right direction and bring it home. Brands, like I said, also comfortable. He's nowhere near Logic, but Big T is nowhere near him. Big T has got in front of Ferrari again with the broken Alpine. Can't say it enough. This is really impressive. Further down, the first of the two Haas drivers, Pandrustar P7, his teammate also in the points, Stoffel in P10, Thiago P8, Andre P9. We have started the final lap of the race. At least the leader had started the last lap of the race. He's comfortably on his way to a race victory. But P2 is still very far from decided. This is Brands, the only Red Bull. Then it's Ferrari and Big T still trading positions. Now Ferrari is in front. He's taken that 5th place. But there's still a lot more opportunity on this track. Still a lot of DRS. It has Big T just dropped off slightly. That gap now 7/10. Don't know if he's going to be able to come back at him this time around. Let's go with the battle at the front. 3-second penalty for Thiago Maestro at this late stage. It's going to hurt him. This is the first of the two Alpines. The other Alpine in P6 injured. Logic still has all of his front wing and he's still fighting for P2. It's right on the back of the Mercedes. And he's got him nicely up the inside. Wasn't much that Cheddar could do. Just had to let him go, try and get behind for the next straight, try and take the slipstream. That's as close as it's going to get, and I'm not sure if they made contact at the end there, but we just saw the Mercedes going slightly sideways. But 0.05 of a second was the gap there between P2 and 3. Can't ask for closer than that. Then Brands comes over the line in a slightly lonely P4. Well, let's just let all of these penalties sort themselves out. Then we'll read out the results, because I think we're still going to see a few more switches. Still out on track. Andre's now gone over the line. Big T's gone over the line. There's penalties coming into play and pushing some of these drivers far down the order. Stoffel, he'll go over the line and get the final points of this evening. And then at the rear of the field, the surviving, I was going to say this surviving Aston Martin, but there is another Aston Martin. It's Andre in P8. Mr. M rolls over the line. And eventually, we have gotten to the end of round 3, season 8. It was a messy one. Thiago Maestro takes the Driver of the Day award. And now we just await those things got really messy. We had a virtual safety car, we had 3 full safety cars, and things got out of hand. But at the end, we were able to survive the evening, and some drivers would have been happy with their points tally. Of course, we're just going to give it 2 or 3 minutes. I have invited the top 3 drivers as well as the driver of the day to join the cool down room after the race. If you choose to join the cool down room, I'll bring you into the comms box for a short interview. So yeah, if you're in the top 3 or if you're the driver of the day, more than welcome to join the NFR cool down room. You can find that obviously on the NFR Discord server, or if you're on a PlayStation, you can simply switch chat into the cool down room. While we wait to see if anybody's going to join for interviews, I have to say thank you to everybody who watched. We got up to quite a few viewers this evening. Not a lot of likes on the video, so if you haven't left a like, remember to leave a like on the video. It helps with the algorithms. Make sure that more people get to see our video. We appear on more feeds and more people get to see our content. So remember to leave a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're gonna go have a look again at the cool down room, and it seems like drivers are either annoyed by all the safety cars or they're just feeling very mic shy. We'll give it another minute or so. Now, of course, Monday night, Tier 1, SAFRL. Everyone who watches this channel on a regular basis knows that we're going to do all of this again in exactly the same format. So Wednesday night, SAFRL will return, this time with Tier 2, same circuit, also sprint format, different set of drivers. And if you enjoyed things tonight, definitely tune in for Wednesday night for what hopefully will be a fully operational working lobby. So nobody's joined the cool down room, but I want to thank everybody that has joined us tonight on this stream, everybody who liked the video. Got a few extra likes there for that, so thank you very much. And I hope to see you all on Wednesday night. If I don't see you on Wednesday night, there's no stream on Thursday. DRS is currently on a break. They will return on the 20th. Well, they do return. They return on the 27th. That's right. So DRS returns on Thursday night. SAFRL Tier 2 on Wednesday night. And of course, SKR returns on Sunday night. I want to thank all of you for watching. I hope to see you all back. But until then, cheers.